road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machinde, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m., Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with The Trill. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, welcome to The Political Dice.
It's
controversial,
purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Yes, State House oba ghetto.
Ani ayuga ku ground.
Ani bwe babuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kiza Besije alesa amaanyi.
Olwofadda bafutoli abateesemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwojema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simanyanga posturing tebabiri mbali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo tumuleketa gamba mpanyiga mangu.
Ebe ndabena birindira no ku The Political Dice ku The Alternative Digitalk nange teditenja ewamune.
Farida bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
esawa 2.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Tukolekayo mko program yaffe ebetandise mu bujjuvu akati abakulu banegaseko mu studios okuli omumbejja Luwedde Lilian ate n'omugenyi waffe olunaku lwaleero Mr. Gumisiriza Sylivin. Tugenda kubanga twogera nsonga za byabufuzi era munange kubiriza nnyo gwayagala okumanya ebifa mu political party yo ebifa mu Uganda ebyobufuzi nga bwe bitambula osobola okubanga ate naawe you hold meaningful discussions never know nga ate munayo inawo ozigwera reference nti bwe nabadde ndaba Mighty Drive such a person yayogedde bwati ne bwati kubanga wanene tewabeerawo palapase ensonga zibeeranga zoogerwanga bwe ziyina okubeera so ngenda kukujjukiza nti toli live ku Facebook ne ku YouTube ku The Alternative Uganda ate page endala ku Facebook joyinza okutusangako bagiyita Digitalk TV awo no mu comment section gikozese bulungi nnyo ng'oteeka endowoozayo oba ekibuuzo kyo kigenda kubanga ate kyanukulwa omukulu gwe tuli naye mu studios engenda kubanga nyaniriza omumbejja atulamuseeko ayanirize n'omugenyi waffe ow'olunaku lwaleero tugenda kubanga tukozesaamu oluzungu okusingira ddala olw'ensonga nti omugenyi waffe ali more comfortable in English okusinga ate Oluganda so mugenda kubanga ate mutusonyiwa muko but here and there ngenda kubanga nchipinga muno Oluganda lwange sobola okubanga ate fenna tutambulira ku PCM. A very good morning Lilian.
A very good morning Farida, a very good morning viewers. It's a beautiful Wednesday nkube badde ngegendo tonye n'engeri gyekyusizaamu awo
nkube tonye
tonye nga bwe badde suubirwa but anyway
obadde oyagala etonye lunakulamba
engeri gyeranzeemu si bwetuukiriza engeri gyeranzeemu awo netekawo embeera si
ebadde ya mangu
nesirika omulundi gumu nebanga eddamu ate n'ekiteera ddala kale ntuba ng'olunaku tulutandise bwe tutyo
so saala ebadde ya nkuba etonyesa nga 2
saagala kyogera bwenjo But our viewers, good morning. Good morning. Nze omubeja Luweddereri and welcome to the Mighty Drive. Yolunaku olwaleero omukulu Gumisiriza mu studio ezakalidde ddala, so saagala ndyowo nnyo n'akazindaalo naye nga olunaku olwaleero ensonga ze tugenda okwogerako ziri nnyo ku bavubuka bwe kituukako kukyusa eggwanga lyaffe oba okukyusa embeera nga bweri. Mulimu ki gwe tuvunaanyizibwako oba tulinako we tutambudde we tutuuse oba tulinako kye tukoze, is there something missing? Waba we tutatambudde bulungi we twetaaga okuba nga tutereeza. Topical discussion yaffe egenda okuba nga etambulira awo, so you can utilize the comment section ate ne tusobola okuba nga tutambulira wamu. Let me welcome him officially in the studios and we dive into the topical discussion of the day. You're most welcome.
Thank you so much, and good morning, viewers and listeners. Glad to be here after quite some time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have you been up to for the time that you got lost from us?
Well, you know, I belong to Alliance for National Transformation.
Yeah, true.
And the plan, what is happening in Alliance for National Transformation is that we are doing grassroots mobilization. We choose to speak to the people, let them know what the agenda is of the party, have the dialogue, listen to them, and let them know the direction we are taking. Of course, there are very many parties, and each one of us, by nature, you choose to align with a party where you feel you would want to contribute.
Yeah.
And then we invite people who understand or have connected with us to basically register and participate in the activities of the party.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's what we've been doing. That's what we are doing. Well, like any other party, challenges of funds, we don't go as we would have wished. If we had funds, you would probably be hearing us. We not because we don't want big numbers, but we are comfortable going to the level of the sub-counties and speak from there. Have the meaningful conversation. Spend some time with them. You can imagine only 2 sub-counties every day, which means that the minimum, we've been at a sub-county with them for about 3 to 4 hours almost. So we have the morning session and then we have the
Evening session.
afternoon session, which tends to go up to evening. We have a discussion, we listen to them. Those who identify with us, they really connect. So that's what we've been doing. That's what we are doing. How far we are, not the desirable.
Okay.
But that means there is work to be done.
But we also recognize the fact that you have been building structures since 2021 after the elections. Do you have a plan, like we are doing structure building for like 2 years, 4 years, or it is a continuous process that we're going to be doing even beyond 2026? It is just going to cut through the process of the election?
We have a plan, but the plan is facilitated by the capabilities in terms of resources. If we had resources, even according to the plan we had, would have finished building the structures, and not to say that we want the entire 140-something districts, because our constitution says when you get 70% of the districts in the country and you've done grassroots mobilization, then you qualify to call for a delegates conference. Yes.
So far, how far have you gone?
We are just about, we may be quite close to halfway the number that we're looking for.
Okay.
Which then requires us to work extra hard, because, and we get it even within ourselves internally, where you're almost tempted to change your own constitution because you want the delegates, the delegates conference. But the question remains, if you begin changing the constitution like now, you will not be any different from
those that you fight
from the thoughts that you basically fight. So we are constrained. We are constrained by the resources, but we believe by about possibly May next year,
to call for a
we should have we should have hit at least 70% of the 145, and then at that point we qualify to call for the delegates conference, and then we will roll out completely fully.
Okay.
That's the state in which we are.
And you are like slightly working behind the clock in relation to the election that is coming up, because by 2025, which is next year, that you are planning to have the delegates conference, with the election process will be in high gear. It just looks like you are working behind the clock.
That's true, based on the time that we have and the resources we have. But you know, there's no right way of doing a wrong thing.
You may be true.
There's no right way of doing a wrong thing, because we might want to justify that and have something like a delegates conference. But then it will not be a conference. It will not be the valid delegates conference at that point. So we will have lied to ourselves. And in any case, chances are we'll have even the people who are not as such having the heart, or are not fully having the ideology and connecting with the ideology of the party. So while we understand the constraints, we are not going to do it on an emotional way, so that we feel we are letting the population know now we are good. No, we shall not be good. We shall be appearing good to go, yet internally there are things we mixed up, and they will catch up with us.
So as Lillian comes in, I want to know, since 2021, you've been doing grassroots mobilization alone?
You will
as a
need...
party?
No, not on a grassroots mobilization, but you need to know that there was, basically after the election, there was more of, how do I call it, kind of a quiet environment at that point. Almost everyone is frustrated. Almost everyone is thinking, where are we heading? So it also took us some time to regain, first of all, to begin building. So we cannot say that immediately after the elections we went back to grassroots mobilization. One, there was a lot of frustration. There were many issues that had happened, and we needed, first of all, go back and listen to the voters, the people. What did we do wrong? Because we had some scores in the campaigns, during the campaigns. Yes, we don't have a member of parliament. Yes, you know our candidate, our presidential candidate, didn't get as much votes. But we had a number of people who went into the campaigns and contested on behalf, or contested under ANT. So we needed to go and do the review with the population, with the people. How did we perform? Why did we perform this way? What do we need to do? What were the challenges? Then how do we need to start? So the grassroots mobilization did not start immediately in 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So on the ground where you've been building structures here and there, what are some of the findings in this whole process onto why ANT performed the way it performed in the 2020 elections?
Number one, we came late.
Yeah,
That was,
we recognize.
Yes, we went to the
formation of the political party and everything.
Formation of the political party. We came late, and it's not an excuse, but it's exactly what really happened when the party had just been formed. At the time when we were getting to the field, COVID hits in, and you know all the restrictions of COVID. Well, it was risky, but also the restrictions which were mainly blocking the opposition
from campaign.
From the campaigns. And so that was the main challenge, that we were late, so we did not have enough time to speak to the people. I contested, and one of the things I would find was, you have a good message, but where have you been? Yeah. And I would respond, this is my state, this is my situation. But now, and at that point, you notice when someone says, where have you been? It means you need some time to create rapport with this person. He wants to ask you another question. He wants to know whether he can basically trust you.
Okay.
I had a number of people. There's none of my polling agents did I give any money. But I had people on almost all polling agents and all polling stations, which means there is a section of people who are not driven by money, but driven by the cause.
And the message.
Yes, and the message. And they really came up and they supported me. Some of them up today, they give me a call and they tell me, I was your agent and I don't know them.
Oh.
I just get to get the call, and now is when I even save the call.
The number.
Yes, so
then,
that was the main challenge. And as we get down, maybe you wanted to ask that question, but I can preempt it. As we get down, we find our message resonates
with the people.
with the people.
Okay.
But there is a big gap between connecting with the message and really, holding on to it, because there is a state of hopelessness
Amongst the
on
people.
a very large scale.
Okay.
And it is not only among a specific group of people, cutting across from the woman to his child, to the parent, to the dad, like cutting across, saying, but will these things work? They're the good things, but will they work? Now, should you find people of that nature, and they are sort of becoming hopeless, for us to sustain and keep this nation moving, you need to give them hope. Lest you can confirm that these things are actually not working, and then they will do whatever they want to do at that point. Then what then happens? If a child is growing in an environment where the mother and father are hopeless, so you're raising a hopeless nation. You're raising a hopeless community, hopeless citizen. So looking at some of the comments being made, ANT, one would say, oh yeah, you're not really doing much, but this country needs to be recovered. And has to be recovered by a section of people that are steadfast. And you don't wake up in the morning, you don't buy steadfastness in a supermarket.
But
you
now
don't have grown.
You've talked of people telling you that you came in late. And then we had NUP also coming in late, but then their performance is actually way good compared to your performance in the previous elections.
Which I agree to, in the eyes of man. True. Because
How about in the eyes of God?
he knows, God knows. But this is what I subscribe to. It is very common for us to easily respond in a reaction and then think a little later. The NUP came through, in my observation, came in a situation where the biggest number of people, and up to today, still growing, was frustrated. And they spoke to their emotions.
Yeah.
And therefore, you needed to expect that. Very many young people, frustrated, and here you come and you say, let's go for it. I get some of the stories where some people are saying that they will tell them, vote umbrella. You don't have to know who is...
umbrella taking.
Yes. You don't have to know who is contesting, but just follow where there is what?
There is an umbrella.
You've not heard the message from this person.
You've not heard the message?
You don't even know them.
Yeah,
Yes.
the symbol is umbrella, you just stick.
I got the stories. I hope they are true. Now, when you find a frustrated community, that's how most likely they are going to behave. But, you see, it is one thing to remove all of us as opposition political parties, what we're looking for is the common word that comes out is remove the dictator.
Yes.
But I think it should be more than removing the dictator. It should be change the government, change the narrative of this nation's leadership. Okay. Now, if you're to do that, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared. So the approach won't be the same. If I come here and say, Tugende, you know, you need to find out who is this person I'm going with.
Telling me Tugende.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you follow me and we get on the road and I stumble and you didn't know where we were going, will you proceed?
No.
No, you won't. So the method that NUP applied, it worked in an environment that at that point the nation was. We give them credit for that. But we need more than that. We need people to say, no, let's go. But when you know that the moment you change the government, then you have a plan. You don't want to change the government and bring in something which is worse or become even more worse than, because after you've changed the government, the question will be, what next?
What next? Yeah.
What next? Because I can say, let's go. And we go. When we have changed the government, the next thing you are telling me, you actually come to my office and say, I want to be the prime minister. In other words, the intention for you to go was personal.
Yeah. Which is right. Everyone that is participating in these the politics that we're having in Uganda, they have personal reasons why they are participating. But one Ugandan would still ask, as a party, you realized you were still young. Why didn't you just, instead of setting a bad precedent, why didn't you just not bring candidates to participate in the 2021 elections, and then you prepare for 2026? Maybe it could have made a difference.
Well, we also knew that we also knew that we wouldn't really perform really well. But you see the bad precedent you're talking about, there is something underlying it, and it also depends on how you're counting your scores. Even when the environment was not favorable, there was need to let the people know that we can do politics a different way. I got 232 votes, right? Amidst all the monies that were there, I do not think that the 232 people were not given the money. I do not think they didn't want the money, but they chose not to get the money and still gave me the votes.
The votes, yes.
So the question would be, if I had not gone there, what message would they have relied on to vote? They would have probably gone with whoever is available. So you see, even when we were there in a very short time, and by and large, like I was saying, in the eyes of man, we performed poorly because we didn't get the numbers. There is a section which says, wait a minute, this is not the direction to go. And to me, those people are precious. Those people are precious because you not get one, you don't count from 1,000. You count from 1 to get to 1,000.
Exactly.
So we can be seen to have not performed well. It is true. Yes, we didn't get big numbers. We don't have somebody in parliament, but we have some councillors who contested on the ANT ticket and they won.
They won.
We have at least we have one LC5 chairperson in Terego who contested on the ANT ticket and he won. And for your information, in the ratings, he is doing very well, which means we have something to offer.
You are towering.
Yes, we have something to offer.
But then now, your performance in the Saturday by-election, because you had started the structure building and then the performance wasn't as what Ugandans expected. What actually happened?
If you follow the Sylivin elections, you can imagine, and I mean the common thing that really happened, that has been happening in the past election
The rigging
cycles.
of elections?
The rigging,
The violence?
the violence, and then the army being all that present. That's not anything new.
Yeah,
That's not anything new. And one thing you need to know is that if you had, and it's not out of pride, but let me tell you, if you had like 5 MPs from ANT in that parliament, in this season, it would not be what you're seeing. It wouldn't.
Oh, really?
Let me tell you, you will not find us raising voices. I mean, we don't argue by putting the volume
Up.
No, we debate on matters. I can guarantee you, whatever you're seeing there, you wouldn't just be passing anyhow. If you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MPs of ANT. So the Sereri part is not something new. You know how votes have been rigged all through the presentation of the armies. You had stories. You might have had Karanga here in Tungamo. For him, it was the army voting, moreover in uniform, not in civilian, but in uniform. We didn't expect any less, but we still needed to be present.
Yeah.
Right? So at the end of the day, you know, you keep building, you keep letting people know
That you exist.
we are here,
And this is our
and
ideology.
this is our experience together with you, because you do not think that the Sereri people are happy, necessarily. So when it comes to numbers, numbers have been manipulated in very many ways. We have some of the people who actually won, but numbers were manipulated. Some of these went to court, and still, because the government currently is in the hands of one person, in this case, or you can even say the family, where they will decide, they will dictate to the judge, this is how it should go, and that's how it will go. They will dictate to the parliament, this is the bill that should pass, and that will basically happen. So, but that doesn't stop us from really keeping on doing what we basically need to do. What I've said, and I'll keep repeating it, maybe you'll hear it the 4th time before we leave here, there is no right way of doing a wrong thing. We will stay focused on doing what we believe is the right thing. One day, alive or not alive, somebody will get back and say, it was a long journey, but it was worth it.
So, before we cross to our topic or discussion of the day, I want to just clear these questions that are in the comment section, because they may not be relevant when we cross to our topic or discussion. Mr. Mweswejora, I don't know Auntie's ideology. Could he clarify?
Okay. Auntie's ideology, could we clarify? So to Mwesigwa, we believe that the country is made of people, and people need to participate, cutting across. It is not the responsibility of the president alone. It's not the responsibility of the ministers alone. It's not the responsibility of the MPs and going down. It's actually the responsibility of every citizen. So we would expect every citizen to participate from wherever he or she is, right from LC1. Right from LC1. Be engaged and be responsible. One, participate in the community gatherings, but also participate in the elections, participate in the developments that are happening in those communities, as then you get opportunities or responsibilities to serve growing up, consider that you're serving people. In other words, work out a way of living under the values of democracy, tolerance, no space for corruption. And that is not something you wait to be elected for. It begins from home.
Yeah.
So if you go to the shop and for some reason the cashier misses out giving out the actual, or gives you
the actual change,
and you cannot tell him, please, you gave me more than what I'm supposed to get, there is a problem. There's a problem that when it comes to the voting, by the time it comes to the voting, it's completely, totally, yeah. So,
you're actually right.
yeah, so that's our position. That's our position. Inclusivity in terms of participation, but right from
the grassroots.
Right from the grassroots.
Okay, what is the purpose of organization when the principle like time is not given due consideration? Is time important to ANT?
Time is important, very much important, but there are other things that do limit us from matching the time as we would desire. If you want to build, I was reading a text somewhere, somebody says, if you want to build a 15-storied building, the higher you want to go is determined by how deep you have excavated.
Okay.
So you cannot just build on the floor. You can't have a 6 inches slab and you want to put a 15-storied building. You just can't. So what do we do? Is time important? Yes. But is time the only thing?
No.
No. There are other factors playing in.
Yeah.
We are looking at time, but we are looking at also resources. Like I mentioned from the start, if we had resources, we would have already had the delegates conference. And I will repeat this one again, we are not going to set a constitution which we are again violating even before it begins operating. Because we are complaining that the current government violated the constitution in the 2000s when they changed the term limits before even the limits had actually reached. The constitution was also violated in 2017 when they changed the age limit before even the limit was reached. So all those ones. So we are not going to be saying they did this, which wasn't right, and then we go back to our own constitution and we adjust it because we want to appear as though we are matching the time.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mombeja, before we go for the break,
Yeah.
I would like to ask our guest of the day, won't this cost you members of the party? Because, I mean, numbers play a role in a political party. So won't this cost you members crossing from ANT to other political parties? Because we've seen a few of them crossing already.
Yes, we understand, and there could be even others planning to cross
To ANT?
from ANT to another, but we don't know. And I mean, we get to know them. We get surprised, but we understand. But the question is, do you build the party around an individual, or you build an organization that 10, 20 years later, when you're not in this, or you've grown for some circumstances, maybe you've gone to another country, or God forbid, he has called you back.
Yeah.
Those who come in, what do they find? What do they find?
Okay.
Because we are human beings, we are in transition. There's a time when you are breastfeeding, now you're here managing a program. And there's time you're going to be having some gray hair. You can tint it, but it will still be gray hair anyway. It have grown. So our intention is to grow an organization, build an organization. People it is at their discretion really to join. It's also at their discretion to choose to leave. But we are not going to lose the focus because we're going to lose the people. The beauty is that when this was started, there are people identified with it. If there were no people, it wouldn't be standing. And even like I mentioned, even when we get to the communities, right when we go to grassroots mobilization, we find people identifying with us. So we will understand. When somebody gets tired, it's really, they will go. It's painful to lose somebody, but you look at the bigger picture really.
After all, the politics of political parties, it's like a highway. You join and leave. When you decide it is not serving the interests that you thought they would serve, it is at your discretion to decide to leave the political party and join another. We are going in for a short commercial break. When we come back, we shall be focusing on our topic or discussion of the day, the role of the youth, the development of their country. Very good morning.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
At first, we hit your gadgets with our state-of-the-art digitalized mobile studio with the debate on the road behind the wheels. Later, we launched our magnificent studios located on Plot 1A, Sewagude Close, Lukulinanganda, Machindye, Kampala, where we bring to you our must-watch shows like The Mighty Drive, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m., Hotline, Mondays, 7 p.m. As for legal matters, Twins at Bar, Tuesdays, 11 a.m. Wednesdays, 6 p.m. is Afro-Caribbean Link, where we connect Africa with the Caribbean. Voltage on Thursdays, 7 p.m., featuring a youthful panel. Interface with Dr. Kiza Besije every Friday, 12 p.m. with his call to action against injustices. Snap Talk, Saturdays, 6 p.m. with the trio. A must-watch, The Political Dice, Sundays, 8 p.m. with the duo that never stammers, and so much more. Watch us live on all our social media platforms. We are The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi, welcome to the Political Dice.
Empichi y'ebyobufuzi.
It's controversial,
Purely political,
well researched,
accurate and global.
Oyagala bya parliament oba council.
Bya state house oba ghetto.
Ani ayugayuga ku ground.
Ani bwe baabuze.
Okimanyi nga Dr. Kiza Besije aleesa amaanyi.
Olwo fadda bafutoli abateeseemu obuvaazi.
Oba yo DP eri kuki?
Olwo jeema.
Bano ba MKCG bo baddawa.
Abo bafuna CDF baamala tebabanja. Olwo baba ate bange bali kuki?
Abo bo akina kulabisa simayanga posturing tebabiri bali mu structure building. Naye ate ono ye.
Ani oyo oba?
Ye ali kuki?
Oyo kyomuleketa gamba apanyiga mawu.
Ebe ndabena birindira noku the Political Dice ku the Alternative Dig Talk nange Teddy Tenjo ewamune.
Farida Bikobere
Buli wa Sunday
esawa 2.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. I want to tell you that if you know ANT, then you know that their politics is not that of sloganeering, Msajja agenda, Ntebe mu Ntebe, not even the politics of posturing. They are building structures. They really want the people to know what they believe in, and then maybe they will win. And we may see General Mugisha Muntu as the president. I am just saying a may. You never know what God's plans are. So as you have been interacting with the people at the grassroots, we all know the government projects. Now we are into the youth and what role they can play towards changing the narratives in their country as we speak of Uganda today. And you people of ANT have been on the grassroots, on the ground, interacting with the people. Have the youth embraced these government projects? Let's say Emyoga and the current one that is giving youth money, 1 million, you go and do something.
Great. So let me begin with the 1 million money.
The parish
You
development
can do
model.
something. when was the campaign? Of course, these who are complaining, you see, they told us to do X, Y, Z, and it's a process, by the way. So this file, this file, this file, and even on those files, they used to actually pay before you even get the money. But you know, I don't know that, I don't remember the name, but he sang that easy come, easy go. Easy go. So the youth should make up their mind and say, do I want to get the easy things? Because they will certainly go. It's a principle, it's a law of nature. We've found these young men and women in there talking about their experiences, and then the question would be, now that you see that experience, what do you think? Can you join us and we build? There's a discrepancy upon that because, yes, you're young and surely your blood is saying, get the things, you know, work it out. More of the time you want to do it within your capabilities.
Yes.
But nature doesn't allow it that way. You need to process. You need to process. Where am I getting? So you give somebody 1 million, no financial literacy.
Yeah.
At all. And he gets this money. What he's been lacking is a phone to be online. So he can't even buy the small one. About nowadays, 150 something, towards 200 you can buy a smartphone. So it'll be online. He needs data. But what is he conversing? What is the story on social media at that very point? So the number, and that's where the youth need to be extremely, extremely careful. There are a number who are attracted to 1 million, but without a plan. Like you've got it, it will disappear within your hands. The next thing you will do, you'll want to call that person who gave you 1 million and say, give me one more, or give me at least 500,000. Do you know what that one means? You are just staying a beggar.
Yeah.
Let me put it harshly.
But these programs have come up to benefit the common Ugandans, I mean, to change their lifestyle and all that when it comes to the finance bit of it.
It's a question of what you call lifestyle, Lillian. Is lifestyle putting on, you know, smartly like you are for you? Or lifestyle is also considering that at some point you're going to be independent and depended on?
Yes.
What we miss is that youth is a transition stage. It is not a permanent stage.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That you were born, you were breastfed, you went to primary, you went secondary. There's a point you were an infant, you are now a youth. There's a point you're going to be an adult.
Yeah.
The question is, what nature of adult do you want to be? If you are a begging youth, you're most likely, and you're not working on it, you're most likely going to be a begging adult. And we found them. Now, those are some of the things that we needed to see when we were in the campaigns. When you say, what was the value? You know, those are some of the elements we needed to see. You're speaking to many, and this man puts you aside, said, by the way. And moreover, he's not even, how I wish he's asking for school fees for his son or for his daughter. He's talking about a bottle of alcohol. It's just one gallop, but he wants it because you've come. And then he's saying, okay, let me give you one. My opponent comes and gives you one. When the elections are over, where are you going to be getting the alcohol from? So the youth need to be very keen. There is no way you're going to expect the change that you're not going to participate in. No, you won't. Number two, the participation is not to go and collect 1 million without a plan. There has to be a plan. You get that 1 million. Do you want, in Uganda, say, oyagala kulunda nkoko? You know, what are you going to do with that million?
Do you want to do agriculture?
Do you want to do agriculture? What? What do you really want to do? Because that million is not going to be there next time. Yet that million is given to you to invest so that you can, in some way, at some point, reap. They are running for the money. But let me tell you that all hope is not lost. There are those who have not basically run for the money.
Yes.
There are not many. We can agree. There are not many. But there are those who have said, you know what? I need to be very careful.
But then there are some people who are crying to government that there are no jobs. And then now government has gone ahead to put these programs for them to benefit in one way or the other. And you're telling them not to engage. I'm not saying don't engage. I'm not saying don't engage. Because giving you the money is not giving you the job.
I've given you capital to start your own job.
It's okay.
Do your own employment.
It's okay. Invest in something.
It's okay. Give me the capital, but before you give me the capital, find out my capabilities. What do I want to do? Do you know what is happening?
But you come up with a business proposal, and then you're like, okay, now we're going to invest the money in this and this and this.
Who validates the business proposal?
Those that are giving out the money.
Really? Yeah. When it is based on Mwanawani, there is a proposal.
But also, one would ask,
yes.
Okay, the government has put up this program.
Yes.
Don't you think it is your role, you as the politicians, to do the civic education for the Ugandans to put to use this money that they are getting from government?
But
because you wouldn't want a poor population also.
The same government, if you engaged in the civic education, they come with the POMA law. You're not supposed to be gathering people without consent. First of all, you've seen the groups of, especially NOOP, being battered as and when they are going to meet the people. So the situation we are in is that the government has presented itself as the only standing solution
to the problems of
the nation. At the same time, appearing as though it's the only permanent and sustainable solution to the problems of Uganda. If it were a democratic government, I mean, when you get to the communities, you won't even know who is which color, right? If it were a democratic government, then we would have situations where you can hear that this community has been given this amount of money as maybe a group of women, and they're going to do 1, 2, 3 things. This is where they have been, this is where they are heading. But we get stories. Those of us who are not in yellow, we cannot align.
Okay. You also mentioned about police dispersing crowds, so
yes.
you can't do civic education.
Yeah.
So, but you can do it the way you have been doing the grassroots building that you have been conducting as a party.
By the way, and we go through a rigorous process to ask for permission. Yes, it's a very long process. Beware. We do not agree with it, but we've got to do it because it is the law.
Yeah.
Right? And gladly, by and large, we've not been interfered with whenever we are doing the grassroots mobilization. So during the grassroots mobilization, part of those elements, we certainly discuss them. And what I'm saying is exactly the same thing would be saying where I would say, well, the money is there. They have brought it. It would be wisdom for you to consider why you need the money and go there for the reason you need the money. But if you run there because there is the money and you didn't have the plan, they'll come back to you. Remember, it's not basically free money. And it would be even very dangerous if it was made free money. Although it appears to come as easy to get money. So to the young people or anybody else who is getting the money, it is good to get the money when you have the plan.
Yeah, true.
Should you not have the plan,
You end up spending it
you
on
end up
unnecessary
spending
things.
it, and they will still come back and say, we gave you the money. And
That will be right.
The unfortunate bit is this one, that when the elections come, they are not presenting what they are planning to do in future. The first statement is, you remember, is to remind you that they gave you the money. What does that mean? The election is not finding or electing leaders looking into the future. It's more of rewarding people.
So does that, actually that brings us to the narrative of these government programs are politically inspired.
Exactly.
Do you believe?
Exactly.
Is there a problem with it?
A very big problem.
What is
Because not all of you are in the current ruling party. What does that mean? A section of people
will benefit.
Is benefiting, a section of people is not benefiting. And they not, are they not citizens?
They are.
They are. Why are they being discriminated?
And the politicians telling these people to take sides, not to involve in government programs.
It's not what we say. It's not what we say that do not...
Because according to the picture that you've painted,
yes,
it's already showing that, okay, if you're not NRM, you're not going to benefit from these programs.
By the way,
one or the other.
By the way, they're the ones who tell us. They're the ones who tell us. Batuganye, bazitumye, kubanga tetuli yeno. So what do I tell you, Lilian? I say, look, measure up. You know, do the
pretend
math.
to be here.
No. That is even extremely dangerous. You remember the slogan, and it used to happen. I hope it stopped. The slogan say, "Gwesente zirye nayo manyi woteka akalulu."
Yeah, true.
It was used in the
2021
elections.
Do you know what that means?
What does it mean?
We used to tell them that zino sente zammwe zirye nayo manyi woteka.
Do you know what that means? You're basically saying, compromise yourself.
But it was a politician who was making that statement from the opposition side.
That's not my position. What I'm only telling you the dangers with it. Compromise yourself. And Lillian, I don't know if you have children, but the thing is, nobody gives what he doesn't have.
Yeah, that is true.
Nobody. Two, you don't have to wait to have children, to have values, to have character, to have morals. These children will have to grow into something they have found. So you will not be the type that behaves that way, and you think you will guide your family in a manner that is of weight, of value. You will not. So there are principles. I have no problem with anybody who goes into a community where there is a government program and he participates and gets the support because he wants to build himself and his family. I have no problem with that. But should you sense that they are looking at you from the angle of the colors you put on or you align to, then also be careful. Because at the end of the day, you can claim, and the word is claim. You can even position yourself as though you are, but eventually you'll be found out. Because that money is not free money. And at that point, you will pay. You will be taunted. You will be reminded. The question is, do you want to live a life where somebody reminds you, tewatuwa kalulu. Or somebody comes and says, Gwe, and this is what basically many politicians do. Msajja oyo yazimbe kanisa tumuwa kalulu. What does the church have to do? Okay, you go there to church. But what does it have to do to your 2-3 children? And what you need to raise to put them in kindergarten and primary and going forward? What does the church have to do with situations we are facing within, especially in the Buganda region? Not only Buganda region, but let's talk about the Buganda region, where people are grabbed, their properties, their land, and because somebody is in the cancer. I don't understand that. So if we don't do the right things the right way, we will not get anywhere. As such, we will have an illusion that we are well. But it is an illusion. You will get that million, you don't have a plan for it. To the youth that is listening, you will get that million. You don't have a plan for it. It will disappear. I am not the one who said easy come, easy go. I also learned of the song. But it is true. Have a plan.
So for those who have the plan, it's okay for them to benefit in one way. Yeah?
It's government money, and you're part of the government. Receive the money, put it to use. And by the way, this is what you can do. Prove that it can be put to use if you have a plan. As opposed to, no. Get the money. Get that 1 million. Maybe buy rabbits. Maybe buy chicken. Maybe have the vegetable garden in the backyard. And sell. And sell. Then one would see what is coming out. But if it is weziri, tugende, tuzichime tuzirie, then as if eating stops there.
Because it is our money.
As if eating stops there, or life stops there.
It doesn't.
No.
Relating with the statement of Sente Muzijeyo, Muzirie Mulonde Bwe Mukkiririzamu, I would really want to ask you a question. Do you think the youths of Uganda are politically aware? Have they been brought to that stage where they can really relate or understand the issues that are happening in their country?
Good question. You know, over time, this regime has basically mastered that to a human being, really, it's more of what is demanding at that moment. Now, the youth at this very point, by and large, they do not have the stamina to say, what's the right thing to be done? And you see, 9 years in leadership, when you have led the people in this direction, is more of a doctrine. Is more of a culture. Because even right now, some of the people in different offices have lived that kind of lifestyle of corruption, nzija komeka, izange meka, which percentage. And that's why I was telling you, Lillian, your child doesn't have to see you now. But the benefits of your child are on the basis of how you're building yourself now. So that big group of people in this whole, intricate system of corruption has not even had a space or a time to get back and guide their very own, who right now are the youth, by the way. Guide their very own and say, do not be corrupt.
Yeah.
This is how you treat your neighbor. This is how you deal with this activity. To the extent that you know very well that sometimes nowadays you can see in kindergartens getting the prefect is an issue of who gives how many sweets.
Yeah, true.
They're actually doing raids right now.
Exactly. So, if you're doing rallies of the nature, I wouldn't mind. In our days, you would stand and contest. And
Yeah.
yes, and you would have to have points.
You would speak the English.
You would speak the English.
It didn't matter if you have the poster or not.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. It didn't matter by the way if you were in school with slippers, but you have the ideas. And always the students wanted to know, are you going to defend us? Are you connecting us to the staff members? Let me tell you, these guys would line up behind you because they have believed in you,
Yeah, true.
because of what you have said. It's not because of
have
the
bought
bananas
them
you bought, the
pancakes.
avocados. No. Now it is entirely a different story. Where a parent sponsors a child to have this Mercedes-Benz with open roof
Yeah.
to enter this school, and the school actually also allows it. You're literally showing it's who has the money
That
that leads.
Who was actually invested in
Yes, but remember that money does not equate to leadership.
That's correct.
It depends on where you have gotten the money and the method you've gotten that money.
Yeah.
So if you choose to give me the vote because I have open roof, am I going to be buying you? By the way, even if I did it, what benefit is that in upbringing this young man? Now, top of that young man, not many years really. 5 years later, he's in an office somewhere at immigrations or Ministry of Finance. And you have had scandals about finance and parliament. What kind of... So if the young people right now, and they are in a space that is so risky that they have got to shift their mindset. Gently, in humility, question the situation they are in. To some extent, with respect, disagree with some of those that have actually looked after them, but disagree in reason.
Okay.
Yes. And say, Dad, with all due respect, I do not think that's the right direction. Yet, if they don't do that, we are headed a very wrong direction. Extremely. We are upside down and we are sinking. Because the current big number of people in their early 40s, early 50s, late 60s, who are the part of the corrupt system, are the ones who have got these youth. Currently. Guess, if they are the corrupt, what about their own? So, it goes to an individual here. Do not complain, you see, this is our family. No, it's not, because you have an opportunity, say, you've had an opportunity, you've gone through a good school, by whichever method your mom, your dad has been getting the money. But it is very, very clear that when we are having a conversation with you, you're morally not grounded. No wonder, that's why you think that everything you tag on it money. You don't have a question that would help somebody give you guidance, or you don't have a question that you're seeking clarity. You're only asking, is there an allowance?
Yeah. Transport refund.
Transport refund. If it is not there, I am not coming. Now, it's not
And
about...
how much is that transport refund? Is it 10,000 or
But
20?
also, do you expect me to walk to the venue?
So that's the nature. To me, whether you want it or not, today you're 20, 5 years later you'll be 25. 5 years later you'll be 30. There's a time you're not going to be the youth. Unfortunately, this body, demands. At some point you want to be a man, at some point you want to be a woman. You'll give birth to a child.
Yeah.
The question is, what is he finding? What is she finding? She will call you mommy for quite some time. But you know what will happen? And some of these things, how we even end up having children tending to lean to where they can get the money, how we end up having many young people running into, LGBTQ, the gay. What are they looking for? Money.
Yes.
Money. And we'll say, you've not been giving me anything, but there's somebody
Giving me something.
Not knowing that it's destruction, it is self-destruction. Now, to any child, to any youth who is thinking of, this nation needs to be different, this nation needs to be different, needs to consider, what is going to be my contribution for this nation to be different? Because 20 years from now, you will not be 17. You will be 47. You will not be a youth. The question is, what kind of child will you have raised at that moment? When you're turning into an old man with children who are supposed to be calling you grandfather, grandmother, the question is, will they be running to see their grandmother, grandfather, or they will be running away from him or her?
I love the fact that you emphasize that we are youths now, but we can't be youths forever, which is absolutely true. But also, before we cross to the adulthood, how best should the Ugandan youths try to change the narrative of their leadership, of the leadership that is happening in Uganda? Because yes, they are trying to do something. They are engaging in politics. They are participating. But it seems that what they are putting or adding to the politics of Uganda isn't enough. So how best should the youths do to change the narrative?
Good. Let me pick from a university graduate. And most of those, if they didn't go to private schools, let's say they went through UPE.
Yes.
And they went through USE. And now they're at university. The advantage we have as a youth is that your parents who have, by and large, walked with you up to university, they believe in you.
Yes.
The advantage also is that you've had an experience that this environment is not favorable for Ugandans in general. So you have an opportunity to get back to mom and dad and say, but mommy and daddy, things are not the way
they are supposed to be.
Things are not the way they look. And I can guarantee you will get audience because these are your parents.
Yes.
And they sent you to school, they might not necessarily expect a return because they are probably established, but they hope to see somebody they have contributed to get better.
Yeah, prospering.
Yes. So it is possible for you to get home and say, mommy and daddy, things are not the way they look. Let me tell you my experience.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 things are happening. They are negative. They are costly. Some of the parents have gone through the process of selling, livestock, property, land to keep their children in school.
Yeah, that's true.
To the university. But after that, this young man is actually looking for a job abroad. It's the right moment for a youth, for a young man, young woman to go back and say, but let me look at these things. Do you know why we are looking for jobs on this other side? It is because the environment you look at is not as is. So then what do we need to do? Say, no. Look at it from this angle. Do not just vote for the sake of voting. Be objective. Because you're handing to me a country that's not going to sustain me. So they have an opportunity to hold meaningful, firm, reasonable, heavy, worth conversations with their very own at home. Secondly, they're in a community. We know, you know that growing up, there are people you would see that they tell you they're at university and you admire. You wish to want to go to the university.
Yes.
That culture has not changed. There are many young people in the communities that look at a university student, girl or boy, as their icon.
Yeah.
So they have the space as well to gather these people just within your local council.
And talk to them.
And talk to them and say, guys, things are not like this. What you're seeing up is not exactly what it is. Let's realign. Let's think different. Right? They have opportunities. To those of us who belong to different faith groups, they have opportunities to speak to the young people in a church setting and be clear with them. And one would want to say, why are you mixing church and politics? They are not separable.
Oh.
They are not.
We hear religious leaders should do not indulge in the politics that is happening in a country.
Is that an advice or an instruction?
I don't know. But we know that that may bring divisions in the church.
It's not, by the way, the church is supposed to be at the center of what is happening in the government. Because where do you find these people? On Sunday, let's just say Sunday. On Sunday, they will go to church. For the SDS, they will go on Saturday. For the Muslims, they will go on Friday. There is somewhere you go for spiritual nourishment.
Yes.
The rest of the days, you are at work or in your field.
Yes.
The church is meant to make people be who they are in their places of work. In other words, if the church you're going to does not have an influence on how you do what you do where you are, put a question mark on it. Because, now let me pull out the verse. I think it's Ephesians 1:20, which says, the church is not peripheral to the world. It's not outside the world. The church is at the center of the world. So what does that mean? The church is supposed to minister to the world or to disciple the world. Unfortunately, it is now the opposite, that the world is discipling the church. And that's why you're saying we are finding us upside down. Yet it should be the other way round. So you cannot separate the two. You only separate the two with selfish motives. Yes. The danger is to think that, and I get it quite common, especially those of us who are under pastors. The pastor thinks he needs to invite you at his church on the time of the fundraising, and they want to give you the front seat because they want to give you the microphone. And when they give you the microphone, do you know what they want? You can money. Say everything else, nothing sensible, but tell them how much money you're leaving behind. Now that's a skewed way of running the church. Like, it's completely distorted.
That's why we see many politicians, especially those in the opposition, condemning religious leaders who meet the president. They think, or they state that they condone with the government to oppress the common person.
Yeah, but you know, in the past, it wasn't actually religious leaders going to the president.
It was the president coming to religious leaders.
It was the politicians going to their pastors or going to their priests.
Okay.
And it's not that the direction really is the key. The question is the motive behind. The motive behind. Okay. Whether we met at church or in my office, the question is, what are we discussing? And what's the direction we are taking? And I think they are right, because there is no way you can just be lining up, right? And you're going to the president. Well, you can go and you can be hosted, probably has invited you.
Yes.
But then tomorrow, there's an issue.
You're keeping quiet.
And you're quiet. There's another issue, and you're quiet.
That they don't want to take sides.
I don't know. I have not been following the news so much. But I don't know is there anybody, have we had any pastor, any priest, any bishop talking about what has been happening in Parliament?
Not really.
The question is, where are these churches operating? Isn't it in Uganda?
Yeah, it is.
Whose parliament is this? Isn't it the Ugandan parliament?
It is.
So I think they need to question that. They need to question that, because you separate the two, you're lost.
Could be because they don't want to look like they're partisan or participating in partisan politics.
They don't necessarily have to be partisan. They have to be objective. If something is wrong, it's wrong. It's not a question of who has done it. And if I point at something which is wrong, you don't have to respond with, because you're opposition. Is it wrong? Yes, no. Then correct it. Now, even if they do not want to look as though they are partisan, what do they look like now? They still look partisan, because where do they go?
They are in the middle. They are not anywhere.
No, it's not that they are not.
They are neutral.
They are not NRM, they are not opposition.
They are neutral.
So.
Do you remember when there was a gathering of the opposition political parties and they invited the clergy and they didn't come? Right? One of the concerns was, why didn't they come? Why are they invited on the other side and they go? Why are they invited here and they don't go? So, it's not about you don't want to look. And you cannot say you don't want to look and yet to display what you look like. If you go to the State House, because you've been invited, when we invite you here, please come. Then we will know you are a clergy.
Okay.
You are a man and woman of faith. You are interested in the way the people are being looked after in the spiritual context, which has no colors. But should you go on this side, as and when you are invited, including stopping your personal programs when you're invited, that one becomes an urgent one. And then you're invited on this side and you do not come. It's just obvious.
Anyway, who says no when the president calls upon them? But also one will ask, what is the role of the Interreligious Council in this context?
Good question. I wish I was in the Interreligious Council to respond to that. But and you see, when you say interreligious, you're basically combining all homes of faith or organizations of faith. I would expect them to be intersecting all of us. And when those moments come out, we'll begin thinking, this could have been manufactured.
Yeah.
We will think about it. And you can't, there's no way you're going to withdraw it from us, because it's our thought. It's our thought. So it's more of how you behave, how you handle us, or how you relate with us, to get to know omusajja mulungi, you know,
oba mubi
omusajja ono,
ekibulamu.
waliwo ekibulamu wano. So I have no clear mapping of the entire role of the interreligious council. But the moment, for me, the moment you say inter, that means you're connecting all faith groups. What we would love to see, don't bend one side. Don't bend one side. Then we will know that you are for every one of us.
yes
But should you bend? I mean, who doesn't know that a bend is a bend? There is a force.
yes sometimes maybe even the environment that I are operating in is not favorable, so maybe it is causing them to bend. You see, when a nail is exposed to fire, a little touch on it, it will bend because it has become soft.
Okay, you see, if you say the environment you're operating in is not favorable, again, it goes back to what you stand for. It goes back to what you stand for. Because if you're waiting for a favorable environment to do what you've got to do, the fact that you are inclined to that, then you'll be pulled to its conditions. And so the other side will keep saying, tetubategeera, tetubategeera. And there's no other way. You just have to clarify it. And the only way to clarify it is basically to be objective and just show that you're basically neutral. So in my view, and all these things we are talking about, by the way, the young people should be, I hope they are listening in, I hope they are watching, because the current people in these spaces are our parents. Some of them are actually becoming our grandparents. But as they are parents and grandparents, 20 years from now, we will be the parents.
Yeah, true.
They will be the grandparents.
We will be the grandparents. They will no longer be there, but they will not be an excuse. Because we will be having some people we are answerable to. And we will not be telling them the stories. You will not.
Yes.
If you tell them the story, you tell them what you did about that. But you don't tell them the stories and you tell them this is why I'm doing it. No. Because that is not the lifestyle they want to live then. These days, we still have some of the children who run, who still want to run to meet their grandparents. But if we are not careful, in our days, when we are grandparents, children will be running away from us.
Okay, you actually sent the youths to their homes to start conversations about who should be voted and why, for us to be having a better Uganda. But to ask, there were youths that came before us. Did they lay a favorable ground for the current youths to carry on with the politics of the country?
So you notice that I talked about how long it has been, 38, 39, we are going to the 40th year.
Yeah.
That whole process of change of mindset, I mentioned it's more of an indoctrination. By the way, if you're seeing some men and women who are still staying firm, please celebrate them. Because many have fallen for the available peaks, the available handovers. And somehow they may not have known the consequences of this, because values are values. Do not steal means do not steal, really. Do not. Do not lie means just do not lie.
Tell the truth.
Do the right thing. So a big section, especially looking at how the government is operating right now, a big section of those, they fed into the lie and they are struggling with how to come out of it.
Yes.
And by that you can be sure that some of the people in the ruling government, they look back and say, what are we into? Some of them meet us, say, naye basajja mwe wadde temuyina naye muli bagumu. They tell us.
Mwaba ANT.
Not only ANT, provided you're not.
You haven't been bought.
You haven't been bought. Like, you guys, it's tough, but you're right.
You are hardcores.
Yes, because you also know that you're a thief. At some point, you know it's not something to be proud of.
Yes.
And they say, I mean, this is how things are. This is how things are. It is how things are, not necessarily because they're supposed to be like that, but because the system has been towards that. So, a section of people have bent, have misled. But are we going to keep crying? That is spilled milk.
Yeah.
Are you going to keep crying? I think not. I think not. And that's why I was saying, even if you're a young man and young lady, but your parent, your guardian, your elder has been and is in this very system, which is not leading us to where you desire to go. Because let me tell you, this system kills talent. It kills gifts. It kills development. You can hardly discover what you are in an environment somebody is there to give you what you just lack, which is mere food and cloth. You can hardly discover that you could be one of the best accountant, one of the best IT persons, one of the best engineer. You can hardly discover. No wonder, even when you're going to university, that's why sometimes you engage in with lots of money. You end up being given the title of engineer, quote unquote, but you cannot tarmac 2 inches of the road. Or you cannot put a brick onto another brick, putting up a structure. Because you're thinking everything on pile maker. Or even when you make the quotation, instead of doing the actual ratios of cement and sand, and you make the poor ratios because you're looking at money. Before you know it, the house is crumbling. So, but are we going to keep complaining? I think not. I think not. Young men and women should come up and hold serious, genuine, focused, developmental conversations. Are they going to be easy? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, constitutionally, it's okay to demonstrate, right? But demonstration in itself is not enough. You need to plan that demonstration, and you need to be very, very objective even when you're going to demonstrate. If you're saying you're going on the road, do not go to the shop. You should be the type of youth like saying, you know what? I am presenting myself to the parliament. I am presenting myself to State House. I'm presenting myself here. And the plan is to present the cause. Not to gun up, because Lillian is going and I'm going. Meanwhile, when we pass by, ShopRite is no longer there. The supermarket, Carrefour, Lillian is on the road and I've branched because now I'm using the situation which is there. And I'm grabbing whatever I have lacked in my house. No. Looting. The two are different. Demonstrations are constitutionally agreeable. But to those of us who are going to demonstrate, are we on the objective, or we have our underlying reasons why we want to have access to the road, access to someone's shop? It will end up not being, you will die.
Okay, that brings about my next question. Do you believe these demonstrations or protests that are taking place in the country can bring about a change in the leadership of the country?
When they are well planned,
They can.
they can.
These ones that are happening are not well planned?
I don't know. I don't know. But the whole thing is this. When you're going to carry out a demonstration, you don't pick 2-3 people and say, let's go. You've got to plan scenarios. You've got to have, people are going to have the placards, what is likely to happen to them. They're going to be picked and taken to police. Does the cause end?
No.
The
What?
legal team has to be.
There has to be a legal team. When they take them to to the courts of law, is there somebody to represent them? Is there money to bail them out?
Yeah.
Right? And does it end there? So you don't have to be just 100 and you think you're going to do it and it will be successful. It has got to be planned. It has got to be in layers. Because getting the front line does not solve the problem.
Yeah.
If it is about the cause, there should be another group of people coming up front.
Okay.
And it will be taken, maybe. If it's a genuine cause, there should be another group. It's until when the government realizes, wait a minute. Number one, these people are not few. Number two, the reason is valid. Then they will say, let's have a conversation.
So it shouldn't be one group coming to the streets. They are grabbed by police, taken to Luzila, and they stop there. You grab this one, another group comes up.
Yes.
Grab it, another one
Yes.
comes up. Okay.
But disciplined. Disciplined that you're on the cause.
We hope to see that organized by ANT, but as things are...
Unfortunately, ANT is not in the ideology is not really defiance. The ideology is...
But that is not defiance.
Yes.
We are
there's-
peaceful.
there's-
We are marching to parliament.
Perfect. And that's why we need to make the difference here. One of the things that, if you know the genesis of ANT, which was largely formerly FDC, was because there was a feeling that people didn't want to go defiance.
Yeah.
Yet the Constitution actually allows, you can have a party that has both. They can coexist.
The liberal
They can coexist because
and the
either way,
defiant.
even defiance requires, in fact, if anything, defiance requires the highest level of organization for you to get to what you're looking out for. Now, I don't know when it will come in ANT, but our focus right now, grassroots mobilization.
ANT doesn't support protests,
No, we support protests.
but you cannot organize
We
protests.
support protests. we support protests because it is a constitutional right. It's a constitutional right. We support them.
Yeah.
But at present, our focus is not on that. Our strength is on our focus. Any resource we have, we feel people need to first understand. Even if we were, let's say we had to come up at some point and protest. We need to protest when the people know why we are actually protesting.
All right,
And when
thank
will
you.
that be?
Oh, we do not know, but as we come up to 2026 elections,
Yes.
do you still have that hope that elections can bring about the change in government?
Okay. On an individual basis, this is, on an individual basis, elections can. The question is, how prepared are we
As citizens?
as citizens
Okay.
to, one, make sure that we are in those registration books, we qualify to vote, because there's a moment when you find we have a lot of noise in cities and towns. And most of those people you see on social media, they hardly go to vote. So at that point, you look at elections from an angle of who is talking.
Yeah.
but not the one who is voting, not knowing what they are doing to the actual voter on the ground. Yes. So elections can. The question is, are we prepared? Are we registered to vote? 2, are we participating? Remember about the discussions we're having? Are we participating as and when we get down into upcountry places and have a conversation with these people and say, but why would you vote somebody because he has given you 2,000 shillings? Are we engaging in those conversations? Because the moment somebody gets to understand, and they're hopeless, but the moment they get to understand, wait a minute, I've raised my child now 1 year, I've spent more than, and I'm just being given 2,000, and I'm going to vote. This means something. That person is likely to get on the line, or even when you meet him or her or going to the line, and you're claiming you're giving him, even if you're giving him 50, he's likely to turn to you and say, wait, I have 5 children at home to raise. What is 50,000 going to do for me? When this person proceeds to the polling station, he's going to vote and stand there that they count this vote.
Okay, thank you so very much, Mr. Sylivin Gumisiriza. Could you please say your last remarks?
My last remarks are that young people, it is one thing to be a youth, it is another thing to be youthful. It is our responsibility, those of us who consider ourselves youthful, to pray or to play the role that we need to play. And much of it is in conversations we hold around our families, around our communities, around schools and institutions we participate in. They have got to be objective conversations that will help people realize that we cannot keep like this. We need to head somewhere, and we've got to put in an effort. It is work. You don't sleep and dream about it and find it. And we've got to blame nobody because things are upside down. But the mere fact that you can see them upside down, it means you're blessed with the knowledge, the wisdom to know that things are upside down. And you know the right side they need to be. So participate in putting them up. Engage in conversations. Ask objective questions. And do not do things like, white lie, small cheats. Do not. Be a person of values, of morals, of characters, because today you're a youth, at some point you are an infant, tomorrow you're not going to be a youth. You're going to have a youth in your home, and we'll be asking you the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, and I want to thank the people that have moved with us from 8 a.m. till the end of the show. You have done an incredible job, and bravo to the team that I have worked with. I wish you a great day.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.